Welcome everyone, it's Matt. In today's class, we're going to talk about Gmax Grimmsnarl, which is going to be happening during my favorite event, which is going to be happening November 15th and 16th. So let's just straight go up to Gigantamax Grimmsnarl. It is a dark fairy type, which is kind of interesting for both its strengths and weaknesses. Its strengths are 37.5% against ghost and 60.9% dark, dragon, and psychic, but it is weak to fairy, poison, and steel. Its max stats 3222 CP with 227 attack, only 139 defense, and 216 HP. The attack is pretty good. We do have some 260s and 280s though, so it's not the top of the line, but still it's going to be very useful. Its stamina is well above average, well above the where I'd say 210 is kind of the minimum where I'd say it's worth it as a healer. And his defense is lower than most, but because of 60.9% resistances in Dark, Dragon, and Psychic, it has three different elements where it is strong against, where it can actually make it as a tank. The CPs that we're going to be looking for is 1552, which is the floor, and 1680 or 1628, which is your hundo. All right, Gmax Grimmsnarl. Its fast moves are nothing but pure speed at all three about 0.5 seconds. Be quite honest, Bite, Sucker Punch are going to be the top two choices, but even Low Kick is fine. Remember, it is a Gmax, so it is going to have only a dark transformation attack. So even if you have to move it to Low Kick as your primary due to resistances, it's a-okay. You're going to be able to still use it as a fantastic finisher on top of it. So let's talk about its charge moves, because that's what we're going to be fighting against. And it has two dark, one fairy, and one fighting, which kind of makes it a little hard to really defend against. Personally, the one that I'm going to ignore is fighting, as it is only a 50 attack and it is fast at 2 seconds, but foul play is about 40% stronger than Power Up Punch with the same speed. And Dark Pulse is only slightly stronger at a slightly slower speed, and Fairy with this the 90 at the 3. So the two elements I'm most worried about are Dark and Fairy, which makes a lot of sense. And also because Power Up Punch is not part of the stab, it is going to hit by far the least out of the four. All right, let's talk about its dark attack capability. This is going to be no surprise here. Grimmsnarl is going to be our most powerful dark attacker with quite a sizable lead over Single Strike Urshifu, who had quite a sizable lead over Gengar. So Grimmsnarl is going to be anywhere between 30 and 40% stronger than Urshifu, but for most trainers, even myself, the better comparison is most of us were still using Gengar as our best dark attacker, or maybe even Metagross. And the differences here are much more striking, as they're basically almost double to 80% or 90% stronger, even at level 50. So if you got a level 50 Gengar, it is almost as powerful as a level 23 Grimmsnarl. That is how powerful much of a difference it is. So even for a minimum amount of candy investiture, you're going to really want to use Gmax Grimmsnarl. As an attacker, it is obviously the top. The Gmax definitely brings it to the top. As a tank, it's got the lowest defense, but it still has a lot of use. It's think of Gengar. Gengar has just barely higher defense. The difference between the two are relatively minimum, and we have used them as tanks, Gengar as tanks before, and we can the same with Grimmsnarl. The only difference is Gengar does have a 75.6% resistance, while Grimmsnarl has 360.95s. As an attacker, it is a 9 out of 10. It's, I think, in the top 6 or 7. Dark does have a decent amount of uses overall for attacking, As a tank, it's a 2 out of 10, but honestly, that's more me talking about defense. If I had to rank it as a tank overall, I do expect it to see some uses. And in general, if you're willing to invest in Grimmsnarl, I think it will be a worthwhile investment for both attacking and tanking. And as a healer, it is an 8 out of 10 for Dark. Greedent is the better one. But interestingly enough, here, even I consider it an easy healer capable Pokemon at a 6 out of 10 here. Something that you can definitely use if needed. It's not going to be a main healer like, say, Blissey is, obviously, but Grimmsnarl has a lot of uses. And if you need to do a backup heal, it is definitely something that will be very worthwhile. All right, so we're going to split now of the mega units because we've got so many more mega units that are upcoming. This will be useful there on out. Anything in the yellow-orange, though, is not available as of this production that I'm making right now, but might be in the future in case we do fight Gmax Grimmsnarl later on as well, like we've done with a lot of the other Gmaxes. Right now, we have a Clefable, Meganium, and Floette that will be released at some point in the next couple of years, as they are now in Legends ZA. But we also have Deontay, Gardevoir, Audino, Mawile, and Altaria for Fairy. And for the Dark, we have a larger selection here with Malamar, Scrafty, and Greninja. Not available yet, but we still have Gyarados, Houndoom, Tyranitar, Sableye, Sharpedo, and Absol. Why is Mega Unit so important, especially for Dark, or Dark and Fairy, especially for Gmaxes, is you get bonus candy in general. And unfortunately, we do not have a Dark Fairy type that goes over. So it's going to be kind of your choice throughout the event. Personally, between hunting for Grimmsnarls and all the Mighties, definitely having one of the two is going to be optimal. So if you're going for, like, say, Gardevoir, you want to make sure you have a fairy for the all 8 hours. And if you're hunting for other dark units, then go ahead and have a dark instead. But for your first time up to the 6th time for the rest period, you get 1 bonus candy. From 7 to 29, you get 1 bonus candy, 10% chance of an additional XL being dropped, or increase, I should say. And that's for all 3 drops and 50 XP. And after 30 days, or getting to Mega 3, which you can type in to see whatever Mega 3s you have, you get 2 bonus candy, 25% chance for an XL, and 100% EXP. I know a lot of trainers have asked, and it depends on how much candy you have, but the rest period will tell you when you can re-mega them for free. So after 7 days at level 1, you can re-mega them for free. So it takes approximately 6 weeks for basically free once you transform it to get from level 1 to level 2. And from level 2 to level 3 is 5 days with 24 more transformations, or 23. You're looking at around 105 days for free. Obviously, you can speed that up if you have more mega candies to evolve. And once you evolve, you can walk with the unit to get your mega as required for the energy as well. But that does take some time. All right. From all that, let's go with the damage taken for tanks. Right now, interestingly enough, Venusaur, Charizard are going to be the top 2 for what I call the non-dark attacks. Generally, I kind of am a little bit worried for Play Rough, as that might do some decent damage. I'll probably be bringing in my Venusaur for just Play Rough and Power Punch, as they will take reduced damage overall. Use Divine Whip at 0.5 seconds. If you have a better Charizard instead of Venusaur, the differences are relatively minimal, especially with the amount of HP. You're going to be able to take roughly the same damage overall with 3 hits or higher, depending on which. And for Charizard Gmax, you should always have Dragon Breath, as that's the only 0.5 seconds that you're going to have for tanking. The other 5, obviously, Blissey is just used to tank whatever it can. The big issue here is with Power Up Punch, it does take extra damage on top of it. It is going to be roughly the same damage though as Foul Play and Dark Pulse. So for Blissey, it doesn't matter that much. All in all, Blissey will take a decent amount of damage, and no matter what attacks at work are to see, it's going to be able to survive 4 attacks or 3 attacks and potentially be downed on the 4th attack, roughly, depending on the overall rounding errors that I have here. My top units are going to be Zamazenta and Zacian for Dark. Yes, single Urshifu actually takes the least amount of damage because it has a 61.0%, but it is also incredibly weak, and I don't have mine leveled up completely. The difference between Zamazenta and Urshifu is pretty small. We're talking about 8 damage in total. Single Urshifu does have more HP, but Zamazenta, as long as you get the guard, does have its shields. So it should last a little longer without any shield upgrades. But in general, I would consider them pretty much to be pretty equal, with then Zacian being slightly behind on top of that. Simeon is actually kind of interesting. It doesn't take a great deal of damage, but honestly, it doesn't have much use because it's counter at 1 along with Rapid Urshifu. But those are the top 8 units that I was able to kind of come up with. Because Grimmsnarl has the different decent attacks and the different elements, they all can't be successfully blocked with resistances by a single Dmax or Gmax that we have right now that is available to use. So I'm going to be using Zamazenta Zacian, and I think Venusaur. The only reason I say I think, I got to take a look and just look and see which is higher. My Charizard Venusaur is right on that edge on depending on which one's I'm going to use. And the top 4 I have is Zamazenta, Venusaur, Zacian, and Single Strike Urshifu. And personally, honestly, Charizard is number 5, very close. Blissey is a far 6, and then 7 and 8 are much farther away with Passimian and Urshifu. If you don't see the top 6 as defenders for your group, I do highly suggest that you try to get them to start leveling up, as we're starting to see, unless if you have 50 to 60 trainers, as remember, this is going to be a 100 trainer max, just like all the other we've been having, that you will struggle. Grimmsnarl is going to hit pretty hard. And with that, having the right counters is really important. And too many trainers really don't respect that. So for the best attackers for Grimmsnarl, we're all going to be focusing on Steel. Zacian, by far and away, is the winner here. It really just outclasses every Pokemon out there. Zacian can be used as a tank with Metal Claw as well. So if you are bringing in Zacian as one of your tanks or attackers, you can also use it as your emergency tank and still bring in 2 very good tanks on top of it as well. And if you feel comfortable enough with your group being advanced enough, you can just use Zacian throughout. I would just say don't use Zacian for the first round. Use either Zamazenta or say Venusaur, depending on the attacks being used. Then transfer to Zacian, give it a shield to attacks, repeat as necessary. If you need more power, you can then use Dynamax Cannon to increase your transformation damage. That is by far going to be your best bang for your buck for even rare candy if needed, if you are in a small group. For me, using rare candy is better than max mushrooms, even though at this point I have 47 max mushrooms from all the add-ons basically that I've gotten. I've never purposely bought for max mushroom, but I have enough. But with this, let's go for the overall battle plan for Gmax Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl is going to hit hard and fast, but with the low defense, it should be at least relatively quick to defeat. I'm not going to say it's going to be the fastest, but it should be relatively quick. My team is, as I said, it's going to be probably Zacian, Zamazenta, and Charizard, because my Charizard is stronger than Venusaur. but that might get switched within the next 2 weeks, depending if I see enough Venusaurus enough to get the candy that I need. For smaller teams, I would try to focus only on the dark attacks because then you can use Zacians or have 3 Zacians overall and just round through them depending on how crazy your teams are. Zacian is just too important to take down Grimmsnarl quickly, so the more Zacians that you have on your team, the faster and easier it will become. I think a team of 4 can beat Grimmsnarl, but most will need Dynamax Cannon and Max Mushrooms. Teams of 8 that don't have the highest, like say level 40s, will probably need one of the two as well. But with the right teams and counters, it's not going to be that hard. So is Grimmsnarl worth it for us as trainers? And right now, I would say it's an easy yes. This is definitely something that I'm going to be focusing very hard on. And what's interesting is I think I'm more interested in Grimmsnarl than I am in the Mighties, and that is saying something because I think this is one of the best events overall because of Mighties just in general. It is our best dark attacker, and it will have a decent amount of use. We use Gengar a decent amount, and frankly, this is going to be better for dark. Defense is low, but it still can be used as a tank, and it has only 0.5 second fast attacks, which means no one's really wrong on whatever fast attack that they're using, and because it's a Gmax, it will always have a dark transformation attack. Its HP is good enough to use as a backup healer as well. As a tank, we're going to be using it mostly for Dark, Dragon, and Psychic. And what's really nice is because Dark usually fights Dark very well, this will be a very interesting Dark tank. So with that, that's all I've got right now. If you enjoy this, please like and subscribe. That really helps the channel. You can also join me on my Patreon or join my community here on YouTube. With that, that really helps me, keeps the channel moving. That's the best way to support my channel. You can also follow me on Twitch. If I'm live on Twitch, you can ask me questions. I'm starting to play some Dragon Quest games, 1 and 2 the HD remakes. Those are my next games on the calendar. And I had some good conversations on Pokemon during that game as well. But if there's anything else too, you can always communicate either through Twitch or through my community. But if you are a part of my Patreon or community, I will add you as a friend in game and allow you to attack with my group on Gmaxes as well. And with that, that's all I've got. Class is dismissed. And as always, I'll try to do better next time. Bye, everyone.